Welcome back to Main Street Living. Danielle, Quincy. Every once in a while, a sports figure comes along who defines a city or even a team. And here in New England, where I am right now, that for a long time was Tom Brady.
Right, but he's since moved on, obviously still playing, but one player has recently retired, Drew Brees. He came to represent the passion, the drive, and the resilience of the Saints and the city of New Orleans. And our own Saints insider, Mike Nabors, is here with us to talk about Drew and the impact his retirement is having on the team and the Big Easy. Welcome back in, Mike. It's good to have one of our favorite neighbors here on Main Street Living.
Literally, yes. Good to be back. I always enjoy these.
Yeah. So tell us, you've been a Saints insider for years and you've had countless interviews with Drew Brees. What has that relationship been like for you?
It's been an evolution, really. I mean, when I started covering him back in 2006, he was coming off the shoulder injury. Even Drew didn't know if he could continue his football career. Nobody predicted back then at the first training camp in Jackson, Mississippi, that he would be a record holder, a future Hall of Famer, and lead the Saints to a Super Bowl. So it's been a heck of a ride. From 06, they went to the NFC Championship game. 07, 08, they had, losing season, a 500 season, and then they revved it up, won the Super Bowl in 09. He set records. He's a future Hall of Famer. To have a front row seat has been really special, and it's even better because we didn't expect it. And even Drew, I think, didn't expect all of this to happen, but it has, and it's been remarkable looking back.
He fought through so many injuries too, and it was amazing. And now he's one of your media colleagues.
That's right.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that Super Bowl season was they were undefeated. I think they were 13-0, and my Dallas Cowboys beat them, and they shocked the world that day. So I know that you're creating a show to commemorate Drew Brees' retirement, which will start running, I believe, this week on Cox Sports Television. So what will we see? Like, what can we expect on the show?
Well, it's really a retrospective look at Drew Brees, and we didn't have our one-on-one with him after his first season in New Orleans. We partnered up in his second season, so we had it for 14 years, and I counted it'll be 275 interviews we've done with Drew in studio after each game, preseason, regular season, the playoffs. So we're calling it NOLA's Number 9, a celebration of Drew Brees. We're going to tape it in New Orleans on Monday and air it Monday night on Cox Sports Television, then re-air it, obviously. But it's going to be fun. I can't wait to host it because he announced his retirement back in March. And, when you do something like that, so monumental, I don't think it hits you right away. I want to ask him, how's he feeling now with training camp? I mean, he's been a football player, guys, for a long time, not only with the Saints, but the Chargers, with Purdue, high school. This is the first August since the early 90s, maybe late 80s, that Drew Brees hasn't been playing football or getting ready for a football season. I want to ask him his thoughts. But on the other side of that, he's getting ready to be an announcer for NBC. He's going to call Notre Dame games and be a host in studio for Football Night in America. So we're going to touch on not only being at a new job, but analyzing the New Orleans Saints and their quarterback battle. But we're also going to bring in former teammates. I've had a couple on Zoom recently. We're going to surprise Drew with. We're going to have a couple in studio, have a roundtable. So if you watch this, even if you're not a Saints fan, as a football fan, you'll appreciate all the stories of Drew Brees with his teammates, all the behind the scenes. And, he told me for years when he'd break all these records, he'd give credit to his teammates and his coaches and his family and everybody. I don't want to talk about my favorite record or any of this until I retire. Now he's retired, so he's got to talk about it. We're going to ask him his favorite record and all this stuff. So he's going to answer questions, I think, in a way he never has before. Nice. And that's just one of many reasons to watch it.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to hear his thoughts on the Saints quarterback situation. I'm just going to leave it at that right now. And I like that you mentioned that this show is for people who aren't even Saints fans, because Drew Brees has kind of been a fan favorite this whole time, even among people who are not Saints fans. So what is it about him that makes him so likable?
I think he's the same guy across the board. I mean, if you're a teammate of his, you love the fact that he's the first guy in the building. Nobody can beat Drew Brees to the building. He's always the first one, and he's the last one to leave. I'm actually working on a book called The Brees Way that we could talk about in a later show. And, I've talked to a lot of his teammates getting ready for this book. And what they told me is, what was incredible is they would get there, he'd be there, they'd leave, he'd still be there. He'd go to the offensive linemen's dinners and they'd have to order for him because he'd still be in the building. But that carries over to the fan base. If you watch him in training camp, routinely, he's signing every autograph. I mean, there may be hundreds and hundreds of fans. He waits till the very last autograph. It's a sincere approach with his teammates and his fans, and I think that's why he's so popular, because there's nothing phony about Drew Brees. What you see is what you get, and I've experienced that behind the scenes. I mean, we've had some tough games. We've had some great games, and I'll say this really about Sean Payton, head coach, too. They're actually better interviews after a loss because they know they're leaders of the football team, and how they carry themselves trickles down to the rest of the organization. So, I mean, it's just a genuine approach that he has in every aspect of his life. If you look at his family, too, with his kids, and he brings his boys to practice. He brought them to the Pro Bowl. They're always on the sidelines. So kind of like that Manning family in New Orleans, the Brees family is all in with football and life, really.
Yeah. So Mike, I mean, you know a lot about Drew Brees. You've been a part of his career, for almost 2 decades, I would say now, right? What are you going to miss most after Drew is now gone from the Saints?
Wow, there's so much. It was such a big game all the time when Drew Brees was the quarterback, and we'll see what happens after he leaves. But, it's interesting looking at his career because the New Orleans Saints won 1 playoff game ever before Drew Brees came to town.
Right.
And, if you're 25 and under as a Saints fan, all you know is success with Drew Brees. So you're kind of spoiled. I'm sure the parents of these 25-year-olds, the grandparents say, it wasn't always this way. I mean, Drew Brees has made it good for a long time. I'll tell you, though, on the field, what I always liked about Drew Brees, when it was 3rd down, I didn't care if it was 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 18 or 3rd and 30. You always felt like you had a chance. And you can't say that about a lot of quarterbacks. So you always felt like you were in it with Drew Brees. I mean, there were a lot of years with the Saints where the defenses weren't good. He carried the team. And the Saints were better towards the end of his career because the defense was better and he had more weapons. But you always had a chance. You always felt like it was a big game and you always had a chance. And it's rare to follow a quarterback as long as we have, and we've never taken it for granted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was incredible to watch. Obviously, his career, a Hall of Fame career here. But as you mentioned, it's come to an end, and now the stories can come out. So where can the viewers see this show?
Well, it'll be on Cox Sports Television. We're going to air it on Monday night, and we're going to have several re-airings of this. So it'll be an hour show, and it's going to be tough to fit everything into an hour. But as I mentioned, it's not just going to be me and Drew. We're going to bring in his former teammates via Zoom and in studio as well. So Monday night on CST, check it out. We're real excited about it.
No problem, Mike. Thank you so much for stopping by. And just for old kicks, here's the Drew Brees finger lick.
Yeah, good. We're going to miss that soon, so thank you.
All right, you take care, Mike. Well, Danielle, it's one thing to commemorate those impactful people who are still living, but after the break, we're going to take some time and try to remember those that we've lost. So more Main Street Living coming up on the way.